Hello, welcome to the EXP. I am your host, Nick Barucci. I'm kidding, of course. I am Matt Kennedy of Pop Sequentialism. Some of you here in the chat may know me from my appearances on Ruben the Collector Show and the Stop the Insanity shows. And so with Nick out of town at the New York Comic Con, I'm filling in. So I want to say hello. Hey, Ruben. Hey, CJ. Hey, Marcus. Hey, Tom. Mr. Red Jack. Mr. Easy Go Lucky. I see some familiar faces. Happy to see you guys. This will be unlike the regular show, of course, because I am unfortunately not Nick Barucci. Nick is amazing. He is inimitable. He is irreplaceable. But last week he asked me to step in, and I'm only too happy to do that. And for those of you who have tuned into the Stop the Insanity shows that Ruben and I do, I think you'll be happy because I brought a different type of art than you're probably used to necessarily seeing from what Nick brings. And I think a lot of it, to my point, is that the whole goal here is for people to not overpay for art, for people to get some good stuff, to get it under market value. I've priced everything under what I see the current equitable market value to be. And I'm also here to wheel and deal because it wouldn't be this show if you couldn't do a little bit of wheeling and dealing. So let me see who's in the chat here real quick. Hey, Lou. Yeah, see some regular names. I am not selling Nick's art today. I am selling my own stuff. I can do some package deals. Happy to do some bundles. Also happy to throw in a free copy of my Pop Sequentialism 80-page giant. I will sign them for you, of course, and make them probably less valuable. But, if some of you probably already have it, so let me know. So ground rules first. My email is right there on the screen. So if you do claim anything in the show, please shoot me an email immediately. Let me know what your screen name is. Let me know which piece it is that you purchased. And I'll be able to send out some invoices. I'm pretty maniacal about mailing stuff out really, really quickly. So obviously, the faster you pay, the faster I can get stuff mailed out. For anybody that I haven't sold to before, I welcome you. I welcome you into purchasing my prior property, and I hope you like some of the stuff I brought. I also, I wanted to let you guys know. There are some pieces here that I took off my wall to sell, like stuff that has been on my walls here in my house for, in some cases, a number of years. Took them out of the frames and making them available for sale because I got to bring the fire. Without Nick being here, I gotta make this worthwhile for everybody. I got to bring in some really, really nice stuff, and I hope you'll all be happy with it. But I guess without further ado, I guess we can kind of get this going. To just a little quickly, I'm going to do most of my invoicing probably by PayPal. I will also, of course, accept Cash App or Venmo for a few very limited clients. I might accept a bank check. I'm kidding. I'm not going to accept any bank checks. Who's writing checks anyways these days? So, if you want to bundle, I'll be keeping track of stuff as well while I'm doing the show, typing some names in, but definitely reach out as soon as you can. I've taken the Pop Sequentialism site offline for a little bit of housekeeping. We got hit with a DDoS attack, so we couldn't put the link in the chat for it to operate because it's down right now. But you can, of course, follow me on all the socials at Pop Sequentialism, which is going to be spelled just like that, POPSEQUENTIALISM. That is without the dash. So at Pop Sequentialism. So I guess let's get it going. Let's pop that first image up. All right. So this is a really, really cool piece. Number one, any of you who are familiar with Ted McKeever, who was, of course, the creator of Eddy Current and had done some independent comics in the real kind of heyday of the Black and White Underground. His first Marvel book was Astonishing Tales MODOK, which is awesome. Like, who better to draw MODOK than Ted McKeever, who is like the least superhero kind of artist you can kind of think of. What's really dope about this page is that this is the first page of the comic. It was a digital comic, but it was done in a traditional art style. So this is all, this is a hand-drawn piece, beautiful as you can see. And that panel right there was used as the cover. So it is not only a page one, it is a page one that is also a cover. And so as we can see, the market price on this is $1,500, but I'm just going to drop it right off the bat and say, let's put this at $1,250. And so where we can sell them after 5 years. Albert, this page actually was purchased directly from the artist at Comic-Con years ago. And so it's just been off the market. It hasn't been back in. I've never seen any other pages from this really out there. A nice, wonderful piece from MODOK Collectors. But what I also kind of love about this is that you got Iron Man holding up some sign, and then in comes MODOK and just railroads him, knocking him, the F out, as they say, right there in the bottom panel. If you go and search, if you go to I'll have all these pieces that aren't sold back in my CAF gallery tomorrow, so that I will activate them so you can see. I will have the prices at whatever we've gotten down to in the chat if they're still available. But of course, looking to sell these tonight. So if anybody's interested, just let me know. If you've got any counter offers, please just go ahead and speak up. Now I'm also going to be doing a amateur dueling dealer show on the CAF channel with Jordan Joannou. It'll be my third appearance as an amateur dueling dealer. I've won the prior two, and so I'm defending my title, and I'm bringing mostly horror stuff to that show. This show is going to be a lot of kind of banger superhero stuff. There's a lot of covers. There's some really nice splash pages in here today. There's a few really amazing commissions, and just some just really, really nice type of origin pages and things like that. So if anybody's got any questions, I'm happy to answer them about this. If not, I guess we'll move on to the second piece, and we can always circle back. So here we go. This is a recreation of the Avengers #4 by Art Nichols. A guy who inked a hell of a lot of people in the late 70s and 80s, a man who is no longer with us. Art passed away. Now, what's kind of neat about this is he actually used a Jack Kirby blue line to ink over this, and he even redid Jack's signature. So that's not an actual Kirby signature. That is Art Nichols doing Jack's signature. But it's just kind of a cool thing. He did make it more of the MCU versions of these heroes instead of strictly the versions that are on the comic. So it was what'd you call it? Not really a blue line, but a light box. So he light boxed it. So it's all ink on this. And these types of things don't really pop up that often. I know that Art was also a difficult person to get art out of in his last few years. I think that there were some commissions that probably went unserviced, unrealized. So to get anything at this point is, of course, the guy's dead, so it's impossible. But just a really nice piece. I mean, no one can obviously have the Avengers #4 cover without spending probably a couple $1 million, if it's even has survived the test of time. So this is a really, really nice redo with a little bit of difference, and just like a really, really cool piece. I like that he threw the Ultimate Avengers in there. Now, he had actually done this as an alternate cover. I don't know if it got used. I've never seen it out there. It may have been published as a variant, but I have not been able to find it. There is no notation on the back side of the piece, but just a really, really just a cool piece. I mean, who doesn't love the cover of Captain America's first Silver Age appearance from the cover of Avengers #4? Just checking out the chat here. Well, if we got no more questions about this, I guess we can push on to the next piece. All right, Batgirls. Now, Nicole Goh is an independent comic artist. She's worked on, I'm trying to think some of the titles that that you might know Nicole from. Her partner Dave Baker was actually just in the news doing his series Halloween Boy. Is going to be coming out through. Oh my gosh, who's going to be publishing it? I can't think of it. I apologize. But Nicole is a really, really amazing artist. She has a little bit of an underground style, which sort of reminds me a little bit of Rick Veitch. But she did the Batgirls webcomic for DC. And so I contacted her and had her do sort of all of the Batgirls on one page as a tribute to a piece that I had seen that was a Nightwing piece that had been done by Bruce Timm. So it's an interesting sort of layout and homage, but also something that is being saved for actual publication of the Batgirls omnibus. So while this has not seen print yet, it is very, very likely to see print. And again, I just want to, there's some really, really amazing ink work on this. And you're in a pretty, exclusive club if you've got any of Nicole's work. This is, of course, signed and dated 2022. And was also used as promotional art in a couple of convention appearances that Nicole had done after doing the piece. So, yeah, I mean, trying to keep it, in a similar sort of space is what you might see from Nick, like some nice banger pieces, really full page artwork. Not necessarily, I say, the same types of artists that you might be seeing on the show, but it's good to mix it up. So again, if there's no questions, I think we'll go ahead and move on to the next piece. And again, please feel free to make offers on anything that's on screen. I have a threshold for pain, and it's always, I want to make sure that pieces find people, and that if you spot something that you really enjoy, and if I can make it work, I'll definitely try and make it work for you. So here you've got J.H. Williams. This is from Batman Annual 21. I mean, you can see all the J.H. Williams III-ness of this piece. You've got notes. You've got a kind of interesting panel design. This is clearly a splash page, but it's a splash page with insets. The piece itself is inside, the club that's owned. I think this is the club that's owned by the Penguin, but there's also a story that revolves around tongs and triads in a fight in this particular annual. And what I really, really like about this is while this piece definitely predates the work that he was doing with Alan Moore, there's a real indication of what his work was going to be like in those ABC comics that he did with Alan Moore. So Promethea, well, this is not a Promethea page, and Promethea pages are probably out of reach for a lot of people at this point. This is a very, very affordable J.H. Williams page. As a matter of fact, I checked, and this is the cheapest J.H. Williams piece that is currently available. I think there's even some panel pages that are priced higher than this. So I wanted to make sure that I was kind of bringing the fire. And this is also from the era, of course, where you still had word balloons on it. And you're looking at Todd Klein, who's an Eisner Award-winning artist. You've got two Eisner Award-winning artists right off the bat with the penciler and the letterer. I think this is also, and you can see this is signed by Mick Gray, who inked it. It's also signed by Williams, both in 2002. So, just a really, really cool piece. It's these days with artists charging to sign comics and artwork, to have something already pre-signed on the original artwork, I think is a bonus, especially if it's not intrusive. So, yeah, I mean, if you can find a J.H. Williams III page cheaper than this, let me know. But again, if this is something that you want, and if and you can't quite go the whole distance, I want to do what I can to make sure that it winds up in your hands. Hey, Rich, how you doing, man? Welcome to Rich Donnelly. And Jeffrey Moy. Thank you. Yeah, so the bats are insets. Now it looks like he got them from a clip art book and just kind of pasted them in place. So those are paste-ons. So I'll get that really close so you can kind of see that those are at additions. They weren't hand drawn, but everything else, of course, is. And you can see the notes are pretty great too. I love when you can see some notes from the either pencil or the inker about how they want things colored, or any kind of other messaging. And of course, you got that beautiful DC copyright. Well, cool. Let's move it along. We'll go to the next piece. So this is a beautiful Captain America splash page. This is also the last page of the comic. This is Chris Sprouse. It's a beautiful Cap and Bucky page. That weird kind of corner. It's always funny. I was looking at that, and when I first saw it, not having seen the comic yet, it looked to me like the Falcons symbol, but it's actually a steel building. And this is a story that takes place in World War II. Clearly, you can see that Bucky is a young man. This is signed by Chris Sprouse. And really interesting to see his process here. This is an all pencil page, so this isn't inked. He was just contrasting his artwork back then, rather than using an inker. So there is no inker page for this, as far as I know. And this is also, see a little bit of doodling in the back there. I believe this was the first comic written at Marvel by the writer of this comic, and that would be, as I have to look it up, Trini Howard. So Trini Howard. Some people love Teenie. Some people love Teenie Howard. Some people hate Teenie Howard. I think it was a great issue, and if you've seen the published version of the page, I really like that you get to see kind of the ink marking on it. Reminds me a bit of how Frank Quitely was doing pages in that same era, to denote where there was going to be heavy inking versus just like line work inking. The back has just a little bit of this weird little doodle on it. Not quite sure what that was supposed to be. Maybe a shoulder. And just catching up on the chat here. Trini's my favorite Power Ranger. Thank you, Marcus. And again, any questions, any offers? I'll be fielding offers, but we can come back to stuff. So we'll move on to the next piece. So this is pretty damn cool. Now this is a sketch cover, and so the sketch cover artist is a guy named Dave. What is Dave's last name? My apologies. Dave Ross. But the comic itself is signed by everybody who had anything to do with it. So it's signed by Frank Miller, Adam Kubert, Klaus Janson, Brian Azzarello, and Alex Sinclair. So just based on the signatures alone, you're looking at probably $700 in signatures on this book. The prices that Frank Miller charges, that Adam charges, that Klaus charges, that you're looking at a pretty, just an expensive commodity. But it's in really, really nice shape. This is a really, really good chance of getting a 9.8 if you're to send this in and get graded. Signature verification would be absolutely worth it on this. It's a really, really nice rendering of Batman about to lay down some whoop ass. So you can see this is an all pencil sketch cover, and just really, really cool. And I always think back to, like watching QVC back in the day and seeing Nick selling signed comics and things like that and variant covers. So I wanted to bring a little bit of that into this show for all you guys too, since Nick can't be here and since I am no Nick Barucci, but doing my best to kind of hang in there. And so, yeah, Ruben this is actually, this would be a really good quote to pull up. Doesn't it feel great having to talk nonstop while never hearing anyone talk back? So obviously, Ruben, very, very used to this. Not so much me. I don't really, the only live shows I ever do with Ruben, okay, I've appeared on Swaggle House's show a couple of times. I used to appear on Reggie Collects occasionally, and would do the, Keep It Thorough on those live shows, which were insane sometimes with some of the shenanigans that would happen in those shows. And Thorough is amazing. Love the guy. But yeah, so hopefully if there's anything that appeals here, let me know. And again, I'm fielding offers and all of this stuff, so feel free to make an offer. Scream for my assistant to bring me a Coke. No, I'm into the bubbly. I'm not into the Coca-Cola products. But we'll move on to the next one. Cool. All right, so this is a Stefan Roux. This is a prelim. What's kind of awesome about this prelim is it's completely different from the published cover. Like completely different. The only thing that's still the same is that there is a poster in the background for this. This is on thinner paper. It's and what's kind of cool is because there's ink wash on this, it actually bleeds through to the back, so you get kind of a negative of where the ink is without the hard line. So anything that's been brushed on, you can kind of see has gone through the back. And this has a little bit of everything. This has blue pencil. This has regular pencil. This has lined ink. This has brushed ink. It's, he's using standard, sort of lined out paper. I've also seen when it comes to this type of prelim, I have a beautiful John Severin. No, not John Severin. What am I talking about? I've got a beautiful Old Man Wolverine prelim, and he uses similar paper. His, of course, was Marvel, not DC. So there you have that. Was a kind of interesting series too, Decision, which brought together a couple of writers before they really, really took off, that have since, written award-winning runs on numerous comics. And so to kind of like go back and see, how that writing started out, Rick Leonardi stepping up from a penciler to a writer, Judd Winnick, who had come off of Batman and come back to DC after winning his Eisner for his graphic novel about his cast member on The Real World. Bill Willingham was a writer on this, so the Fables writer, and of course, the creator of Elementals back in the day. So there's a lot of talent connected to this. And it's a really cool four-part story where Green Lantern is, I believe, a candidate in a presidential election, and it gets like really, really complex. So it's sort of like DC trying to do a kind of political thing in the same way that Marvel had done in Civil War, but really making it political instead of necessarily making it an all-hands-on-deck kind of book. But again, $300 for a prelim that is that complete, that is that different than what's published, really makes it a special piece. Arrow, Green Arrow. Someone had asked if that's Green Lantern or Green Arrow, and I might have said Lantern. I slipped up, but and it splits them because I don't think Green Lantern and Green Arrow were politically aligned here, just as they were not politically aligned in the 60s in those amazing Neil Adams comics. This is I say about 8.5 by 11. Yeah, this is 8.5 by 11. And so, Green Arrow is supporting that presidential candidate. So he's kind of like showing his support. And that's the candidate that's running for president in the comic. I won't tell you what happens, but it's pretty cool. All right. So we'll move on to the next. Generation X by Raul Fernandez. So Fernandez is a phenomenal artist. He's represented out of, I believe, it's a Black Line in Spain. There's a couple of, and I think he may have switched at this point to the Green Room. But Raul Fernandez, phenomenal artist. His favorite comic was Generation X. So I had read that in, I think, a post that he had put up on his Instagram. And so I contacted him and said, hey, I'd really like to see you do a version of X-Men 141, but using specifically a Generation X version of that alternate future. And I went in and I picked like who was going to be on the sign and whether or not they were alive or dead, and had him execute. And I think at one point he was connected to actually reviving some of these characters in a Marvel comic. I think he may have been after this piece was done on X-Force or something like that. But the piece is beautiful. And honestly, like what's kind of great about this is it does have some Zipatone on it. And it's got like this beautiful texture that you can feel on the board itself. You can see his signature is that kind of R with the circle above it over the Afterburn Austin. That skin and Jubilee. And really, really cool tribute piece. It's impossible to get on Fernandez's commissions list. When you can, he's no longer doing 11 by 17 pieces for the shows. The work is now much, much smaller. You can see also he uses like a little bit of a red pencil when he's doing his sort of like bold shapes in order to get everything dialed down into what the final cover is going to be. And a lot of my favorite artists these days are coming out of Barcelona in the local dialect. There's so many artists that have been on the Nightwing comics, have been Spanish artists, and it's an easy way to collect like really, really beautiful work. $1,200 for a cover quality 11 by 17 tribute piece is, almost unheard of in today's market. Now we'll move on to the next piece. Now this is a few of you have heard me talk about this on Ruben's show. This is two pieces. So that's the pencil page that you're seeing first, and then this is the inked page. They are two different sizes as well. So Dave Bennett did the pencils, and he uses blue pencil, red pencil, and gray pencil in doing his artwork. I had wanted and commissioned him to do a version of Fantastic Four number 51, This Man, This Monster, swapping out the members of the Fantastic Four that are on that page with characters from the Immortal Hulk run. And so when this was booked, it was before he was sort of taken off the book, and a lot of these private commissions were becoming variant covers. And you can see here, this is the Bellardino Bravo inks, and it's a slightly smaller paper. So like, I'll hold them side by side and you can kind of see that the inks are a little bit smaller than the pencils. But what sort of happened is when I purchased this, and I had booked this commission through Jade Giant, and without kind of checking with me, Dave at Jade Giant sent the pencils off to his inker to do an inked version, thinking that I would want it. And I didn't really want it. But I also didn't want two versions of the same piece out there when I was the person who had commissioned it. So I ended up, buying them both to keep them together. You know, whoever buys it for me is completely free to split it up. I didn't think it would be a good idea to split it up, so I'm offering them together. And if you know how much inked commissions from Bravo cost, you know what a bargain this is. You also know that at this point, I don't believe that Joe Bennett is doing Hulk commissions anymore. And so again, there's some room on this. You know, I want to make it work. So Alberto Gonzalez, just to break the ice. Offer for the Nichols and the Sprouse 900 for both. Let me take a look. You know what? If you can come up to 1,000, I'll do it. Let me dig those out. You can take another look at them. No, I'm going to have to charge you for shipping, but I'm going to only charge you actual cost on the shipping. So it's only going to be about $21.45. That's a birthday discount. Hey, it's also my birthday. Cool. All right, Albert, these are yours. Sold. Fantastic. Go ahead and shoot me an email at the end of the show. You may pick up some more stuff, and we'll go from there. So that's fun. We're up and running now. Just gonna type this in for my records. And there we go. Excellent. Thanks, Albert. All right. So, all right. If anybody has any questions about any of the other pieces, feel free to ask. But, another kind of great thing about this is the story behind how Immortal Hulk kind of came to an end is sort of tragic because Joe Bennett had sort of been thrown under the bus by the entire creative team over an editorial mistake in one of the issues. And then there was a whole discussion about support posts he had made for the Brazilian president before he came into office, and then had nothing to say about it afterwards. And I think his inability to speak English meant that he couldn't defend himself and didn't want to make anything worse. So he kind of just got, the book was delivered. Al, who had been writing the book, I feel really sort of mistreated Joe and not supporting him at all, having gone through 50 issues together on an incredible series. And I wish that Joe had gotten more of his own covers. As much as I love Alex Ross, I think that I prefer some of those variant covers. So cool. We'll move on to the next. All right. So this is going to be a fun piece. So this is Veronica Fish, and this is a cover to Lumberjanes and Gotham Academy, and this is a full color piece in colored pencil. You can see, but this doesn't just come with this. There's a whole bunch of process pieces that come with this. So in addition to the actual cover art, you get a couple of prelims. So these are just the rough thumbnails. And then you get a pretty developed prelim. And then you're also going to get a signed copy of the comic in near mint condition. A good candidate for a 9.8, certainly with a press. So a whole pile of wonderful Veronica Fish goodness. And I love also how she dates the work as well. So a really cool Boom and DC Comics crossover. Just love her work. I'm a deep collector of Veronica's work. I have a lot of Veronica's stuff. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be selling any of it. So, it's really, really cool characters. 2 great comics. I just love seeing her process work too. It's simple, but it's just already there. You know, like there's some artists that would be their finished piece. You can go ahead and drop that right down to $700 because I feel like it. Okay, no questions. We will move on to the next piece. There we go. So, Mouse Guard. Pretty rare to see Mouse Guard artwork out in the wild. Certainly the Peterson stuff. You know, I know that Jason did a run on Mouse Guard, Jason Sean Alexander. This is original Mouse Guard. This is a title page. He does that square format. Just a really, really, really nice piece. James has a really nice Mouse Guard piece. This is certainly different than the one that he's got. But it's everything you want from a Mouse Guard piece. I mean, it really is. You got the runic work, you got the main character, you got the lettering, you got, again, it's signed. And I mean, really, really rare to see any Mouse Guard artwork out there at all in any capacity. So, again, like if this is something that you're into, that you want, I'm here to make a deal for you. And, really just want to place this artwork in the hands of collectors that really want it. A lot of people ask me, because I've been selling off, a lot of stuff, a lot of really good stuff too. Why am I doing so? And, I've been on record as saying that I think that original comic art is at a tipping point where things are just going to get really, really, really expensive, which would mean that this is all great stuff to hang on to. But I've started simplifying my collecting. As a lot of you know, I've really dedicated all of my collecting to commissions and published pieces when I can find them and afford them of Death of the Endless. So if you're following at all the Pop Sequentialism account on Instagram, you see that the only stuff I've been posting for the better part of 6 months at this point has just been the Death of the Endless pieces that I've been collecting. And I've really, even at this point, started to narrow down into there are a handful of artists whose work I just love so much that that I'm probably just going to be a deep collector of a handful of those artists. Now, I still have other, pretty amazing pieces. I mean, you can see over my shoulder here a piece from Sid Mead, that was published in the Monograph book that Dragon Dream did. Dragon Dream with the same publisher that did The Studio, which is the book on Wrights and Kaluta, Smith and Jones. And so, I do collect other artwork. There's even some other comic art that is very, very precious to me that I don't think that I would sell. But it's really at this point all about really working on this project that I have for Death of the Endless. And so everything else is sort of starting to seem like a squirrel to me. Things that I really loved that I've had, but it's time to let them back out into the world. I mean, that Mouse Guard piece has been off the market since it was picked up at David Peterson's table in Artist Alley at Comic-Con years ago. So this has never been available on the open market until I got my hands on it and decided to sell it recently. So yeah, rats, squirrels, etc. Indeed. Yeah, I don't think James is watching tonight. I know James knows I have this, but I don't know if that's just if he's already scratched that itch. Obviously we know that James collects a lot of 90s X-Men stuff and some 80s X-Men stuff. And other really, really high profile, nice pieces. He may have scratched that itch for Mouse Guard, but certainly if it's something that he wants, I'd be happy to work out a deal for him. And man, James has an amazing story about picking up a piece that was denied him, and just the beauty of getting that piece in his hands. So I'm not going to tell his story. Maybe we'll have him on a show at some point, right, Ruben, to talk about it if he'll appear. As we know, Marcus won't appear. But let's move on. Let's go to the next piece. All right. So this is, in a weird way, a show full of artists whose work is hard to get because they just never deliver their commissions. And so this is a really, really nice Larry Stroman Nightcrawler piece. And I fell out of order here. It's just really, really well done. This is a full 11 by 17. You can't get these pieces for $300. Like Stroman, I mean, even if he was going to deliver, which apparently he never does, he would charge you more than $300 and you would possibly never get the piece, allegedly. So on the back, it actually has the name of the person who commissioned him for this. It was not me. And they also did another commission, and it has the date and that he had reached out via Facebook. But one of the more iconic runs on an X title is definitely Larry Stroman's run on X Factor. And I always really, really loved Nightcrawler. So when I saw this come available, I reached out for it. But it is again kind of a squirrel in my collection in that I'm not really an X-Men collector. There's a couple of pieces that I have that are X-centric, you could say, and even a really, really lovely commission that I had done. But that commission has more to do with my love of the video game. And it's an Omega Red piece and with X-23. X-23, of course, was not in the video game, but yes, I'll do it. Michael Lovitz, Stroman for $250. You got it. Let me note. Very cool. Thank you. And cool. All right. Let me also note that for Albert. Cool. All right. Sold. My favorite words. We'll move on to the next one. Yeah, man, Michael, when I was a kid, when I was first reading X-Men, my absolute favorite character was Nightcrawler. There was just something about, even in a group of outsiders, he was the outsider. And that really, really resonated, with me as a teenager, as a metal kid, as a punk, as a D&D player, who would show up, ride my bike to school with my paper route, bag on it. I just always loved Nightcrawler. Well, enough about me. And on to my absolute favorite character, which is, of course, Nightwing. And I just I love this character. I love Robin, but I only love his version of Robin. And this is a really, really cool Raul Fernandez piece. It's inked by Andre Guinaldo. It's from Nightwing number 12. It's the second page. It's got a single panel that sort of does a time lapse in that you can see the same character within the same action. What's interesting is this predates the really, really well-known Nightwing run that where there's a whole issue which is just one continuous thing. I think I've got 16 pieces today, Albert, I think. So there's only a couple more, honestly. But yeah, 16 pieces total. When you cut, and technically 17. Well, I mean, there's the two pieces that are the Hulk, the Immortal Hulk piece, and there's the 4 pieces that are the Lumberjanes piece. Bruno is my absolute favorite artist. I own a lot of the artist proofs because he wasn't doing traditional artwork. I did get him to do a traditional commission that's in my collection, which is a Nightwing tribute to Daredevil 181. But yeah, I love that top panel, but I love everything about this. I mean, the tunnel is cool. It's almost like a textbook in interesting action poses that aren't trite. You know, like it's not super dynamic. It's not liquid movement, but it's a really, really, really nice page. And again, like, you know, this is a $300 page from Raul Fernandez, which is really, really under market and a really, really nice page from a fantastic book. So, you know, for those of you who are Nightwing fans, like I am a Nightwing fan, it's a wonderful page. And I was really, really choosy about the Nightwing stuff that I was buying. I was really only buying banger stuff. And I think that's a really, really banger page. A wonderful example of Raul's artwork on a DC title. So if there's no questions there, we'll move on to the next piece. Oh, actually, before we do that, I apologize. He did a blue line printout of the pencils on the back. Which is weird. But there you go. Okay, so next up, Star-Lord. So Javier Garron, obviously another Spanish artist. This is an origin story. So the Star-Lord comic, and this is just really beautifully drawn, and this is traditional. Not a lot of the Spanish artists, except for Fernandez and Garron, were still doing traditional pencils this late. Yes, so this is the Star-Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy. This is him as a little boy, and this tells his origin story about how he got kidnapped and everything too. And the writer on this, let me check. There we go. Let's see. The writer on this piece is Sam Humphries. So Sam Humphries was on the book when I think he was on the book. He didn't write the comics that were adapted for the first Guardians film. But I think by the time the second Guardians film was out, Sam Humphries was the writer on the book. And this is, of course, a mini series, but really beautiful work. Now, if you really kind of like zoom in here, you can see that you've got like the space cruiser Yamato. You've got like Star Wars vehicles. You've got the skull that's at the entrance of Pirates of the Caribbean. So it's sort of like this amazing amalgamation of all these different, elements of science fiction and fantasy as an amusement park. And of course, by the time this series had been done, they were already in the middle of swapping out Tower of Terror to become the Guardians of the Galaxy ride at Disneyland in Grand California, California Adventureland in the Disneyland park. And in Disney World, there's a whole, it's arranged very, very differently. So a really, really cool page. And again, like very inexpensive for Javi Garron, but let's drop it to $300. Just right off the bat, we're going to drop it to $300. I guess Ian's not in the chat tonight. Although Ian's got plenty of Guardians of the Galaxy, so he may be full up at this point. Very cool. AYKM. Now I feel like Ruben. I don't know the anagrams tonight.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, there you go. Yeah. I have to sell these hard like Romita Man. But we'll move on to the next one. We can always circle back. We got a good 9 minutes left in the show tonight. So David Lapham, another artist absolutely known for not delivering. So to get a title page, which is actually better than the cover of that issue, I might add, from Warriors of Plasm. This was when Jim Shooter was launching, yet another comic publishing company, and this is just like classic David Lapham. I mean, this is everything that you end up seeing later, in the comics that really sort of established his reputation as a popular penciler. This also has like this really cool, weird little drawing of himself that he signed on the back. And I mean, it's just like really nice to see how if you really get in and look at some of the inking on this, it's like palpable. There's a lot of surface on this. It has a kind of nice texture to it. But yeah, this is Plasm number 6. This is page 1. This is like I say, this is a title page. There was, digitally titles were put on top of this because that's the era. And unlike a lot of artwork from that era, this is not Sharpie. This is like nice black ink. So this is going to last a really, really long time too. Yeah, give me some likes, guys. Give me some likes. And I got this at 600. If someone's really into it and wants to make an offer, I'm totally open to it. But let's move on to I think the next piece is the last piece. Yes. So this is pretty amazing. So this is a multi-cell setup. This is pre-production art for Heavy Metal: The Motion Picture. This is Tarna. This is the one episode that everybody loves, everybody's favorite character. This even comes with the Heavy Metal Certificate of Authenticity that was this was part of the Heavy Metal exhibition. This was it was held at God, I can't remember where this was held. It was in Beverly Hills. It might have been at Every Picture Tells a Story that had done this exhibition. So you get that on the back of it as well. But this is a multi-level setup. There's cut paper. There's all kinds of interesting levels to this. What makes this really, really special is that pre-production art on that film in particular is exceptionally rare because some of that was done by Moebius's studio before he was cut loose from the project. So it's definitely Moebius adjacent art. I don't think that Giraud did it himself, but I would not be surprised if one of the other 2 major artists that were assistants for Moebius throughout his later life, including Pascal, might have had something to do with that. And you look at the detail in the blacks on these and the backgrounds, and it's very Moebius. Nothing in the film looks like that. So the really, really cool aspect of something like this is that you're getting something that connects back to the original creators. And of course, Heavy Metal Magazine, published at that time by National Lampoon. National Lampoon connected to the filmmakers that ended up making the movie, which is why you have so many people from SCTV doing the voices. There's this whole interesting loop. So this is one of the only cells that actually really connects back to the origins in Heavy Metal Magazine, because everything else was sort of really of a certain look that doesn't exactly capture elements of the original comics. But there you have it. So if anybody wants to see any of the earlier pieces, I'm happy to go back and showcase them. Let me just I'll pull up that MODOK again because it's dope. Ted McKeever, one of the very few superhero comics he ever worked on, and it's just badass. Look at that. You got some white ink on top of that, some black ink. It's a really, really beautiful piece. It's the J.H. Williams, just look at those insets, man. That's Promethea before Promethea. It's a doozy. And I mean, even look at the people at the table in the background. Like those are really well articulated for how small they are. You know, like even the backs of the chairs, like the plant. I mean, this is phenomenal stuff. $650. Who wants it for $650? Let's see. I mean, I could go on and on about, you know, Joe Bennett. And we have them both at 3,000. How about 2,600? Are you kidding me? 2,600 for both. Can you dig it? Yeah, MODOK looks pro methamphetamine. Oh, there we go. Set my alarm because I didn't want to run too far over. I know that there's an hour-long gap between the ending of this show and the beginning of the next, but I don't want to fill that. So I do want to just make sure if there's anything in anybody in the chat, if you came in late, just to kind of give a little bit of a recap. We got the Ted McKeever MODOK piece. There's the Nicole Gu Batgirl promotional splash. There's the J.H. Williams III Batman annual page that I just showed. There's this amazing Dark Knight signed by Frank Miller and Klaus Janson and Adam Kubert. Andy Kubert. Brian Azzarello. Like I say, $700 in signatures on that book. And, just because I'm in a great mood about that Dark Knight 3 and not going to tell any colonoscopy stories, we'll drop that down to $350. Half of what the signatures would cost you alone. It's like getting the cover for free twice. Then I'll pop this up real quick. Generation X. Beautiful cover. Beautiful texture. Just really, really nice piece. And this one I will drop to $1,000. Well, there you have it, folks. If you catch this on Rewind, you can reach out to me at my email address right there, matt.w.kennedy@gmail.com. Again, I want to thank the team here at the EXP and certainly Nick for having me on, for having me come in and sort of do some subbing here. Hopefully I didn't hurt your eyes or your ears. Hopefully you liked some of the art that you got to see. Certainly a lot different, I think, than what you usually see here on a Friday. And always good to have a little bit of variety. So yeah, please follow up. Albert, shoot me an email. Also, Michael, just shoot me an email, and I'll get those invoices out to you quickly, and get that stuff mailed off. Maybe even tomorrow. Certainly no later than Monday, because that's how I roll. And follow me on all the things. Give me the at popsequentialism.com. You can also follow the fine art account, which is at gallery30south.com. And yes, Ruben, very surprising to see a show that ends in an hour. We didn't do a 5-hour show tonight with showing the art. But I do love our shows. And I guess that's pretty much it. I could keep talking, but I don't see the necessity. And I'm going to go out and have some champagne because it's that kind of Friday.
Before we go, I just want to say, Matt, thank you so much, man, for stepping in. That way we still had an art show on a Friday. You did a great job, man. This was great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before I let you go, though, coming up next on The Experience at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, you got Friday Night Live with Nancy McCann and the crew for Comics Unlimited. And then be sure to tune in Sunday, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, for Ruben's show. I'll pop the link up there in just a second. And then Unknown would like to know when that horror art show is that you were talking about is going to be.
That's going to be on October 22nd. And so it's going to be an amateur dueling dealer show on the CAF Plus channel. So the Comic Art Fans Live, Comic Art Fans YouTube. And it will be Jordan Joannou and I going head to head. We'll each have 24 pieces. There's going to be a bunch of rounds with artwork that's under $500. And then it'll be under 1,000, and then it'll be anything goes. And I'll be honest, I have my spreadsheet of what is going to be in that show. I'm just going to organize it really quick so I can give you some real information here. And it looks like there are 16 pieces that are priced under $1,000. Of those 16 pieces, 11 are priced under 500. Several are priced at 300 or less. So there's going to be some really amazing stuff. There's some really, really beautiful horror art in there. There's going to be a couple of Wrightson pieces. There's some Michael Zulli, some really, really beautiful work. And so anybody who's looking for horror, I know some copper horror, some bronze horror, there'll be some great stuff. There's a couple of first appearances in that artwork as well. There's some beautiful pages from Spectre, from Phantom Stranger, title pages, really, really beautiful stuff. So if that's your thing, then absolutely tune in. And if you're curious, you can always, just shoot me an email if you've got something on your want list that you think I might have. I'm happy to respond. And if we can come to terms before the show, then you won't have to fight everybody else for it. But again, thank you so much. I really appreciated this. I know most of you guys in the chat, so it's always great to see you in a different context. It is really weird, Ruben, to be talking and not have somebody else to talk to. So I've earned even more respect for you, sir. So yes, get back to make the slides for the next show, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Thanks, guys.